9.9 The Lights.
Hey, I was scrolling through the news sites over the last day and saw an article that I stopped and read about Drew Barrymore. Now, Drew Barrymore is coming to Australia to do this kind of series of interviews where she sits down and she's actually talking to some iconic Australians.
She's doing the interviewing.
Yeah, I think so. She's a part of it. And there's people like Emma Memma and Tones and I and Danny Minogue involved, and looks quite fun. I do like Drew Barrymore. I actually enjoy her show. I enjoy how empathetic she is, how relaxed she is, how non-show businessy she is.
One of the great actresses as well, E.T.
She's iconic. Charlie's Angels.
50 First Dates.
She has.
The Wedding Singer.
That's one of my 50 First Dates is one of my favourite movies.
Oh, great movie.
Because her name was Lucy in the movie. I love Drew Barrymore, but I read this article and it really got to me because in this article, now think of Drew Barrymore, she's probably very rich, let's just say that. She's done some of the most iconic roles in history.
I'm fairly sure she's doing okay.
I think she's super duper rich. She's done the most iconic roles in history. She has her own talk show. She has book deals. She's in the headlines every few days. She's gorgeous. She seems so in peace with herself. She just seems so confident and she just seems like she's got it all, right? She seems like she's got it all. She's struggled through things in her childhood. She's dealt with them. She's done therapy. She seems like she's got it all, but she comes out in this interview, which is obviously promoting her Aussie tour, and she talks about the fact that she struggles so much with self-doubt. Is she enough? Can she do it? Does anyone care? Why should they listen to her show anywhere? And she has this really critical voice in her head that actually really affects her life. And that was really surprising to me because you do look at people like her and you go, you've got it all together though. You look like you're so switched on. And so I started doing a little bit of research because I thought, I just thought it was me and maybe my girlfriends who have self-doubt. I didn't think like someone as big as Drew Barrymore would battle with self-doubt. But did you know that apparently 85% of people generally get around with self-doubt?
With this negative talk going on.
Most people. That's the majority of humans.
It's normally in the sound of their own voice. We talked about this earlier this week with Dr. Jodie Richardson.
Yeah. Did you know that apparently adults generally have about 6 moments of self-doubt a day? 6 moments. And a lot of it is about, am I a good mum or dad? Or am I even good at my job? Should I even be doing this job? Isn't that crazy? I think all of us, regardless of being a man or a woman, regardless of our age or our background or even our achievements, even if you've achieved it all, we all have this nagging voice in the back of our minds that kind of questions our worth and whether we should be doing it. And when we listen to that, when we take it through to the nth degree, if we absolutely buy into that self-doubt, it absolutely paralyzes us and then prevents us from even achieving anything because we get stuck going, well, I can't do it because I'm doubting myself. Have you ever been like that? Have you ever... See, this is a weird thing. Even as I say this, I go, I love this man, obviously. I married him. I don't know if... You don't seem to self-doubt yourself in a career way. I don't think you doubt yourself at all.
I'm either going to be very helpful to this conversation or not at all. Because
No, wait. I'm going to challenge you on something.
Yep.
Because, and this is going quite deep and we haven't even spoken about this. So, but anyway, here you go. I look at you, Kel, and I see you in a workplace and there's no doubt. You have no doubts. You know you're good at it. You know you're great behind the scenes. You know you're a good colleague. You know you're an extraordinarily hard worker. I see no self-doubt there. But I think when it comes to parenting, I wonder if deep down you have a bit of self-doubt. Am I doing enough? Am I a good dad? Do you? Have I hit a button?
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't. Listen. I would agree. Most of my life, I'm Gwen Stefani. No doubt. Gwen Stefani, lead singer, no doubt.
It took me a while to get that.
Secondly, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I have had this fundamental belief, and maybe it's something about self-doubt, but I've turned it into maybe a weapon instead of something that I struggle with. I have a fundamental belief that we're all playing pretend. No matter who you catch up with in life, CEOs, general managers,
world leaders,
anybody,
everyone's cracking
presidents, prime ministers, everyone's playing pretend.
Yeah.
They're not quite sure what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're all just kind of making it up. But that's not necessarily a healthy way to think, I don't think. I think I'm using it as a defense mechanism, thinking that everyone is probably struggling, like most of us are, with a bit of self-doubt. I think, yes, when it comes to parenting, I'd say most people in general, because there's no handbook, there's no rule book to parenting.
No.
And I think more often than not, you will, especially at night time when you've got nothing else going on, you will have those moments. And I do. You'll have those moments where you're wondering if you're parenting correctly or if you've let your kids down because of the way you are and who you are. But I would say that, and I don't want to be sexist, I think men have less self-doubt, and it's maybe because we're delusional.
Or do men have the same amount of self-doubt? They just don't express it or talk about it to anyone because they generally don't talk as much. Maybe they are walking around doubting themselves, but they don't express it like women do.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I think there's a lot to that too.
I think men's, because all the data I've seen, it doesn't say it's just females. It says it's men and women struggle with it.
I think you might be right. I think women are more evolved enough to ask the question, and men are not necessarily asking the question.
I had a girlfriend the other day start a new job. My girlfriend is one of the most incredibly clever businesswomen you'll ever meet. This place is lucky to have her. And she said to me, I just don't know if I can do the job. And I looked at her and I said, you've got to stop doubting yourself. I said, so many people get so far because they just tell themselves in their careers, I'm so great, I know what I'm doing. And everyone just goes, okay, I believe it. I said, have the confidence of and I made a joke, and no one take offense to this, but I said, have the confidence of like a corporate, middle-aged man who's like, just like, I'm gonna climb the corporate ladder. I said, have that confidence. I said, don't do this female thing of going, I can't do it. I said, you can do it. You just need to believe you can do it.
I think it's great to talk about, but I do get a bit weirded out sometimes when you go down the rabbit hole and you go, well, maybe brain surgeons, maybe airline pilots.
Don't overthink that.
Maybe they all have self-doubt.
I don't want to go down.
We're all human, right?
Yeah. But I want to know this morning, is that you? Let's find someone who's courageous enough to say, I will say just before we go to the song, I have struggled with self-doubt, and I think that's held me back my whole life. I still struggle with it. I don't even know where to start overcoming this, but I doubt myself nonstop. I've got friends going, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I always say, I'm not good enough. So this is a part of my life. I struggle in a massive way with imposter syndrome and self-doubt. But let's have the conversation and unpack it together. And then I did the research and found that majority of people doubt themselves. And apparently it's numerous times a day. And it's about generally our parenting and our careers. And I was thinking about it and I thought, well, that's just such a part of my narrative that I'm really trying to work hard to flip. But it's something I really battle with. Am I good enough? Can I do it? I do know it has held me back so often in life. I don't put myself forward for things because I just go, you can't do that. You're not good enough. And when I've gone and done things, instead of enjoying it in my head the whole time, I've said, you shouldn't be doing this. For example, I was chosen as one of the greatest 10 impersonators in the world to fly to the UK to film a special on the BBC in front of 6 million people. Me, Lucy Holmes. I was on TV as the world's greatest Kylie impersonator. I struggled doing that so much because the entire time I kept telling myself that whole week I was in the UK, you shouldn't be here. You're not good enough. Everyone's going to laugh at you. This is going to be the biggest mistake of your life. Why are you even here? Why did you say yes? And look, I did it. This was a couple of years ago and I look back at the footage, but I know behind the scenes, the turmoil, I couldn't even enjoy it. And I wish I could go back and almost just go, who cares? Enjoy it. What a great opportunity. You do deserve to be here. But I absolutely had such a trying week because the whole time I said to myself, you do not deserve this. You shouldn't be here. This is a huge mistake. And so I'm trying really hard, especially in therapy, to overcome this whole thought that I'm not good enough. And I know that a lot of people deal with it as well. We've got a great message here from Morella who says, I doubt myself constantly. Now listen to this. She goes, I'm currently doing my PhD. Like, oh my goodness, Morella. Like, Kel didn't even finish high school. You're currently doing...
I have no doubt about my inability to do a PhD.
Exactly. Like, I'd understand Kel's doubt, but Morella's doing a PhD and she goes, I don't know if I'm good enough to do it well. You are. She goes, I'm also a nurse. I question almost every decision I make in that capacity. She goes, there's a lot more, but they're my big rocks at the moment. And see, when I see someone like Morella, I go, but Morella, you don't need to have self-doubt. You're doing it. You're doing such a great job. Isn't it funny? We have all doubt for ourselves, but when it comes to others, we're like, you can do anything. But when it comes to ourselves, we just don't have that level of compassion.
But that's the importance of having a cheerleader in your life. you need those people around you. And it should be, if you can be one of those people, to cheer somebody else on, because we're all struggling with self-doubt. So it's really important that if we can't cheer ourselves on, make sure we're cheering our friends and our family on.
Exactly. Kathy goes, am I good enough? Well, I heard a devotional this week explaining that God is adequate and people are inadequate, but God provides our adequacy. It's that verse I love that verse. It's in, I think it's Corinthians 1:27. God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. That I've hung on to that verse my whole life. Rachel in Caroline Springs, welcome to the show. Thank you for calling in.
Well, good morning. How are you all?
We're doing well. We're loving this conversation about self-doubt. I think it's really great to just be open about it and chat about how it all affects us. Have you ever struggled with it, Rachel, or are you one of the few that have nope, I've got it, I believe in myself?
No, I think, I agree with you. Everyone struggles with self-doubt, and especially being a parent, being a mother, being a wife. I'm also, a business owner, so I find that can be really challenging as well, being a leader where a lot of people look up to you to have all the answers.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be really difficult because you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I find reframing and looking at it from a perspective that you're doing the best with the knowledge that you have really helpful, because as we get older, as we learn more, we will always learn different strategies, a better way to do something. And rather than punishing ourselves for what we could have done, really looking at how we've done it and know that we did the best with what we knew in that moment.
Yes.
And now we have different tools and different strategies under our belt and different knowledge, and we can tackle it a different way and share that education with other people.
I love that, Rachel. I have heard that phrase before in my life in therapy, which is you have done the best you can with the knowledge and with everything you had at your disposal, you're doing the best you can. And I think that's such a kind, compassionate way to view your own life.
And also, this is where comparison comes in. Knowing now that pretty much everyone is dealing with self-doubt, don't compare yourself to other people. Because we often go, that person over there's got it all together.
Yeah.
They don't. Everything's on fire and everyone's making it up.